Tonight, proposed peacekeeping solutions at a Metro Atlanta amusement park.
The action follows brawls at Six Flags earlier this month. Hundreds of people were involved. One person was even shot. Atlanta News First, Chelsea Bimeford, live tonight at Six Flags.
And Chelsea, community leaders gathered today. So what are some of the possible solutions that they're now talking about?
Well, while nothing is set in stone, they did talk about a few possibilities, including adding a curfew for teenagers that come here for the roller coasters and the rides, or requiring them to possibly have a chaperone.
Six Flags is one of the major destination vacation locations in the Southeast.
When Michael Owens became the mayor of Mableton last year, it meant that Six Flags Over Georgia became part of his jurisdiction.
I'm going to make this really simple. What we intend to do is ensure the safety of our community, not only just because of this one incident, but ensure that we're looking forward as a new city.
On Tuesday, Mayor Owens held a closed-door meeting to discuss solutions after a violent opening day at the amusement park. Just over a week ago, police say an unruly crowd of about 500 to 600 people began fighting. The chaos spilled out into the parking lot, which led to a shootout between Cobb police and an armed 15-year-old, leaving the teen in critical condition.
We all have the same goal, same mindset, is provide protection to our citizens.
Cobb County Sheriff Craig Owens and Police Chief Stuart Van Hooser attended the meeting, saying this is a step in the right direction, but made note that mischief at Six Flags isn't new, and there's been ongoing collaboration between law enforcement and the park for years.
We have used a host of different methods of keeping people safe.
Cobb Commissioner Monique Sheffield said on the night of the fighting and the shootout, Cobb police tapped into their real-time crime center and found a nearby camera had captured video of an armed suspect.
The cameras from a neighboring hotel picked up activity from a young man that had a gun on him, and that was quickly dispatched to the police at the park, and they were able to apprehend him.
Now, despite attending today's safety meeting, Six Flags execs did not come to the press conference and did not speak with the media about the opening day issue or the ongoing safety concerns. But Mayor Owens said, though, that those Six Flags reps were receptive to some of these proposed solutions. Reporting live from Six Flags tonight in Cobb County, Chelsea Bimeford, Atlanta News First.